Hi friends, I'm here in Islamabad attending the climate change conference Breathe Pakistan organized by Dawn Media in Pakistan, and I presented my views on what can be done in the high Himalayas at this conference. Thank you very much. Salam alaikum and namaskar and Jule as we greet in Ladakh. I bring you warm greetings from a very cold place called Ladakh. For you, it might be interesting to know that the region of Ladakh is where Indus River begins, on which most of Pakistan depends. And what happens there will have an effect here, and what's happening there is not very good. Now, about sustainable ways of managing the water towers of Asia. I think water towers was very aptly termed. Water towers, the strength is in its height. So coming to specifics, I would say the best way to deal with water is to stop it at the height that it is. Height is a great resource, more than oil, I would say. Mountains are what gives height to water, whether in frozen forms or in permafrost or in flowing water. Now, stop it where it is should be our strategy. And stopping it there and then making it useful downstream can be done in two ways. One would be freeze and refreeze. Freeze it when it flows in cold mountains so that it can be used in spring and summer when farmers need it. In other words, artificial glaciers. That's what we do in Ladakh. Artificial glaciers, man-made, during winters when nobody needs water for agriculture, to keep it till spring and summer when everybody needs. So freeze every drop where possible, and then it melts and goes down. This freezing can be of streams, it can be higher up of glacial lakes, which are becoming like a ticking time bomb. You can refreeze the glacial lakes using various technologies, and we are working on them. You can siphon them out and refreeze them. By siphoning, you reduce the risk of the lake, and by refreezing, you make it into an asset that can serve people downstream. So refreezing glacial lakes to refreezing streams, freeze, freeze, freeze should be the strategy to keep it at the height that it is. Now, these artificial glaciers also will not go for very long because there's less and less snow, less and less freezing in coming decades, and therefore we'll have to learn to live with rain and more rain. So therefore the strategy should be to learn to soak it, to absorb it in the mountains, soak, soak, soak. And that can be done in many ways by vegetating the high valleys. We're trying to do that so that there are indigenous trees and shrubs and bushes that grow that holds the water. You can have swales, you can have check dams, and in flood-prone streams, you can have ice dams that are made in winter but disappear in summer when floods come, so no obstruction or destruction. So therefore, soak, recharge. You can have recharge wells and various other mechanisms to recharge the whole mountain so that water comes slowly. Because when water comes fast, as it will, as rains increase, it will cause destruction, floods. When it is soaked or frozen, it comes very gently, being very useful to people. Now, thirdly, the strategy should be educate, 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 because one needs to learn how to do these things. So education of communities, education of youth and children to deal with the new changes in the mountains. And for that, in Ladakh, we are starting a whole university called Himalayan Institute of Alternatives Ladakh, or HIAL, to basically learn and teach to deal with climate change. And I'm happy that Gitanjali is here, who heads that university. People around the mountains will have to relearn, re-educate themselves to deal with that. Now, these things can be done in the mountains at these institutes, we also do solar heated buildings that can be plus 20 inside when it is minus 20 outside. All these we need to learn, but we cannot stop glacial melting with these mechanisms that I just said. Great for local strategies, but not enough to save our glaciers. So the answer for that is not so much in the mountains, high Himalayas. It's more in big cities like Islamabad, Karachi, Mumbai, Beijing, New York, London, because that's where climate change is starting. We cannot also just blame them far away, but cities that are closer to the Himalayas, Hindu Kush, are even more to blame, whether it is in Kashmir or Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar. These cities not only add to the carbon dioxide, but they also release black carbon, which goes with the wind and sits on our glaciers and thereby melts it even faster because black absorbs sun's energy. So our message to the world always has been, please live simply in the big cities so that we in the mountains simply live. And this message needs to reach the whole world, and I'm so happy that media and leadership have a great role to play, and in Pakistan, I see Dawn Media is taking that responsibility as a champion of environment. I wish all countries, and in my country, a media house really takes this responsibility like here. Similarly, leadership has to take charge, world leaders. While many world leaders are now denying climate change even, I'm happy that Prime Minister Modi has not only taken many initiatives, but also launched a special mission called Mission Life, Lifestyle for the Environment, to urge the people to live simpler life. This kind of initiative we expect from leadership, from media, from celebrities all, so that we later, have a safer place to live in the mountains. Finally, I want to congratulate and thank UN for declaring 2025 as the UN Year of Glacial Preservation. That's an amazing initiative like this. So with such initiatives, I have some hope that we still will live, survive, and perhaps thrive in the mountains. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sonam, for that impassioned, practical, realistic, hands-on, innovative message to all of us. Your iStupa project has received global recognition, and how can such community-driven solutions be scaled up across South Asia to address water shortages resulting from glacial melt?
Sorry. Yeah. Thank you. For technologies and ways of dealing with such issues, which are all new, there must be, first of all, laboratories where things are tested, experimented, like we are doing at Himalayan Institute. And then it has to be disseminated to people so that it can be scaled up throughout the Hindu Kush Himalayas. And one way we are seeing in Ladakh at Hayal, the Himalayan Institute, is to get people from all of these places for courses, modules that they can participate, learn the techniques, and go back to their places and become partners in implementing in their own context. Yeah? That way, because technologies are not easy for every village community to invent. So there could be regional laboratories. We hope Himalayan Institute of Ladakh can become Himalayan Institute of Nepal, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and various countries where you prepare the young and the old for understanding their climate, their context, and coming up with solutions. So education would be an important way, or training and empowering, enabling, capacity building. Then engaging the community should be a part of it. Like in Ladakh, we always try to take the community along to finally implement it. Then in that case, you don't need so much funding because the community does it as an emergency. But still, there will be need, even if reduced, resources to support implementation of such techniques, whether it is check dams or ice stupas or bluff refreezing, will need resources, and there's no reason why these places should be punished to have their own resources, or even the countries. I mean, globally this is being done, so the global community should be there to take part. I know there are various ways of financing climate change adaptation and mitigation, but maybe there is need for even better and bigger, and maybe people could include water in carbon credit. You could maybe club water credit and carbon credit so that whenever a community restores water, yeah, corporates get that credit for restoring water also and not just carbon, because it's two sides of the same coin. On a bigger scale, I think, our foundations of our economics needs to change globally to finance such action of emergencies. Like in the past, our currencies were based on gold, which made some sense. It's against the gold that you draw your currency. Now it is not. And now it's very funny digital mining for bitcoins that don't do anything to solve the problem. Instead, consume even more energy, guzzle more energy, cause more of these. Everybody comes up with their own coin. I think there should be actually, the new coin should be carbon or oxygen coin, because that's your lifeline, more important than gold. If that is done, then nations who conserve their forests, enlarge their forests or conserve water, will immediately get the wealth. They can draw rupees against that, the trees or the water conserved, and they'll be wealthier. It's like mining oil, but oil is physical. You have it, so you see it. This could be something the global and UN can take an initiative in that, to consider oxygen and water as the gold of tomorrow and link it to our currency so that nations that do the most are naturally wealthy, just like having oil. Yeah, things like that. But anyway, lots of many ideas. Thank you.